I'd become 1 in 100, a teenage psychiatric patient diagnosed with schizophrenia. I was told I must take antipsychotic drugs for the rest of my life. It's conceivable that had I accepted this literally, I may not have experienced subsequent shifts in consciousness. It's also conceivable that had this been the case, I would not have integrated my experiences and come to the subsequent understanding and resolution. Consequently, my life would have been impoverished. There was a subtle and systematic attempt to condition me so that I would view myself as ill, diseased, as experiencing delusional and hallucinatory states, cancer of the mind. During one assessment session I underwent, I recall a clinician stating, "You're sick, do you know that?" On replying, "No, I'm not," I was informed that my answer clearly indicated that I was, and that till I'd accepted this, I would remain unwell. By saying I was not sick, I was deemed to be insane. Had I said the opposite, the outcome would have inevitably and escapably been the same, catch-22. Sadly, I began to see myself as deranged until in 1984 I made the decision to extricate myself from psychiatric interference. I felt my identity had been sabotaged by a diagnosis and fought to reclaim ownership of selfhood. I've been prescribed antipsychotic drugs at various times and at various levels, low and high. They both helped and hindered, depending on the type of drug, efficacy, side effects, and my personal circumstances. I've experienced 15 periods of schizophrenia spanning 45 years. I seize every occurrence and do not regard them as disparate or isolated, rather as waymarkers representing psychic events that have assisted me navigate this earthly and universal adventure. I have, however, received psychiatric hospitality, mercifully, only 5 times, quoth the Raven. At the University of Life, I've learned a great deal in institutional settings. The first and following episodes were pervaded by signs, symbolism, synchronicity, and significance. As a result, in an endeavor to translate the transformational potential that psychosis possesses, having left the heat of the kitchen, I took up meditation, transcendental medication, and decided to study art with the aim of communicating my experiences using the language and vocabulary of visual media. I'm not eager to describe myself as an artist, preferring instead the more relevant and specific term, reality tester. As a vehicle to communicate the experience of psych sensitivity, visual imagery is well suited. Reality, illusion, metaphor and perception, a synthesis of the elements required to convey the complexities of the mind. For many years I toured my work, and to earn a living became a sign maker. I'm not a normal schizophrenic, I'm a professional schizophrenic. It was not until I'd rejected psychiatry that I was able to set into context and make true sense of my experience of unusual states of consciousness. I feel I've accessed aspects of reality few are privileged to glimpse, like an intrepid explorer who's journeyed to distant and mysterious lands and who has returned to present evidence of his discoveries. Although I do not regard my experience as an illness, I acknowledge that during periods of schizophrenia, assistance was required. But the harrowing ill treatment I received at the hands of psychiatry intensified mistrust and neglected needs. I'm committed to the cause of exposing psychiatric assault. I do not fear schizophrenia. I do, however, fear its consequence, psychiatric intervention, and paradoxically it's the threat of intervention that persuades me to keep taking the tablets and live in a prescribed reality. I thank my lucky stars for a loving, protective, accepting family. In addition, I have a GP whose sensitivity and intelligence and open mind are a godsend, and I'm embraced by a network of supportive friends and colleagues. Receiving the label schizophrenia was possibly fated, but if I must be called schizophrenic, granted it is not something I have or got. It is neither an appendage nor something I've contracted. It is something I am. I regard my experience as a natural, integral, and vital part of my personal evolution. A blessing, not a curse.